Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Larsen, and welcome to the VISX Production Graphics Suite webinar. Before we get started, just a little bit on the procedures that we'll use today for this webinar. All attendees will be muted during the duration of the webinar. If you experience any problems when joining the webinar, please use the chat function to communicate. The voice over internet is a recommended audio option. Questions during the webinar can be posted in the chat function. Questions will be answered during the webinar via the chat or by a follow-up email. And I'll give you that contact email at the end of the this webinar presentation. First of all, just a little bit about who is Larsen Software. For those of you who don't know us, some of you I can see from the attendee list are familiar with Larsen Software. Yes, at Larsen Software, we're all about graphics. We develop and market graphics software products. We have both end-user products and we have technology products for developers. Technology products are development kits that for developers that want to integrate on our CGM technology into their products. We have customers worldwide. We have over 30 years of experience in working with the CGM format. In fact, we started the company, based the company on the CGM file format or software for working with the CGM file format. We're a founding member of CGM Open, where I'm currently the director of the steering committee for CGM Open. This webinar is about the VISX Production Graphics Suite, but first of all, just a little bit about the use case. Who is this product for? Where does it fit in the big scheme of things? Heavy equipment manufacturers, people who make heavy equipment, aircraft, military vehicles, trains, this type of equipment have lots of graphics. Typically, some of our installations where our product has been deployed, they have tens of thousands, and in some cases even hundreds of thousands of technical graphics or illustrations. And there is these graphics tend to be in many different sources and formats. They can be in CAD systems, or that we want to extract the parts data from CAD systems. We want to get or they're in the illustration formats. Adobe Illustrator is used a lot for producing graphics. They may be in legacy formats like PDF manuals, scan drawings in TIFF format. They're just all over the map, and there's a need to publish these in a standards-based technical publishing system, either for electronic manuals or online publishing, electronic parts catalogs. And we also there's a need to add interactivity or hotspots to the graphics to make them more useful. So that's where the VISX Production Graphics Suite fits. That's the use case for it. What is the Production Graphics Suite composed of? It's a set of tools for optimizing the technical graphics process. Everything you need to create and graphically maintain a CGM archive. There's three components to the Production Graphics Suite. VISX Transform, which is really the workhorse of the graphics suite. Its purpose is to transform common file formats, CAD files, into quality conforming CGM files. And then there's a Visek XEdit for maintaining graphic files once you've got them in the CGM format. And then there's VISX View, which is our family of CGM viewers that allows you to deploy those CGM graphics on a multitude of platforms. First, some detail about what the VISX transform is composed of, or what its function is. On the slide you're looking at there, we see on the left the file formats that VISX transform can accept. It takes these different file formats, converts them, hotspots them, and puts them into a version 4, conforming version 4 file for loading into a technical publishing system. Going through the various formats, you have CAD files in DWG or DXF format. CAD for DWG is, as most of you know, is the main format used by AutoCAD, but it's also used for other CAD systems, so it's a very popular CAD exchange format. Then we have the vector group of vector graphics files, PDF, EPS, AI, which is Adobe Illustrator, but also from the newer Illustrator, which outputs PDF now directly. But they can also be, PDFs can also be legacy manuals. In other words, sometimes you have old PDF manuals, and they have lots of graphics in them that we'd like to extract and repurpose, so we can do that too. And then we can take raster formats, like all the popular image files. These could be scan drawings, or they may have been exported and saved in an existing graphics repository. And then lastly, we can take CGM files. CGM files can be exported from some CAD systems like CATIA and Unigraphics, but also they may have been authored in a standards-based illustration package like IsoDraw. So we have ways to we can accept those too, of course, and put them into the VISX transform and get them all into a common, clean format. So the benefits of VISX transform is as I said, it can take CAD files, but also not only just convert the CAD file, but it can remove unwanted information. Like typically CAD drawings have a lot of more information on them besides the actual part. Like they may have borders, title blocks, the bill of materials, engineering notes, a lot of information that we really don't want to see in a technical graphic for publishing. So we have ways to to exclude those and leave those off and just get the actual graphic. And then one of the another unique feature is the ability to extract multi-language annotation CAD layers. It's common practice in some CAD departments to do multi-language annotation on their CAD drawings. So if that exists, what we can do, we can also extract those. If you had 3 different annotation sets in the CAD files, we can extract those and make 3 different CGMs, for instance, for the 3 different languages annotation. So, some multi-language capabilities there too, so that they don't have to go through translation. VISX transform can also auto-identify and apply hotspots by looking for patterns and applying the hotspots automatically. We have some built-in raster OCR. It's based, it uses some proprietary image analysis or image recognition technology that we've developed that allows it to parse out callouts, find callouts, and then OCR them and put them in a layer on a CGM. And then we can compress files. Since we're dealing with lots of graphics, we're going to want to compress those, and we can do that with various compression formats. We can take, if their files are coming in colors, we can conform those all to a monochrome palette. We could do things like crop off excessive or crop out unwanted portions of drawings. We can remove excessive white space margin. And then last, this is it has a graphical user interface. It's a batch process, so it's fast. So, and we'll actually show you a demo of that. And then the last feature of VISX Transform is that it's is also available in a command line version for those that want to integrate it into a publishing system or into some process. So you could use the GUI, the graphical user interface, for instance, to set it up, to work with it, start working with your files, set up all the parameters, and then if you're using command line version, that could be used to automate it. So next, the VISX XEdit for maintaining graphic files. Some of the key benefits: it's multi-window, so you can open and work with multiple files at once. Handy for comparing things, repurposing from one parts of one drawing to other. For example, it has a tree view window. We call it tree view, but it's the metadata or hotspots that are contained in the CGM after it's been hotspotted. VISX XEdit, another nice feature to make it seamlessly work with the VISX Transform. It accepts all of the formats that VISX Transform can take, all of the CAD file, PDF, all these formats. It can also accept into VISX XEdit, so it makes it a nice feature there, and it has integrated hotspotting. So in essence, the VISX XEdit has everything you can do in the VISX Transform, except it's an interactive process. In other words, if you want to do auto hotspot a file, you would have to do it one at a time, VISX XEdit, whereas Transform is a process. And lastly, it saves VISX XEdit saves everything as a version 4 CGM, or for those of you who prefer to work with to publish in SVG, it will also make a SVG file with hotspots. And there's also a very nice, when you install VISX XEdit, you get a nice thumbnail and preview. So when you're working in your Windows File Explorer, you get previews of thumbnails of all your CGM files that you've created. So that can be helpful for working with, again, working with large volumes of files. So a very useful tool. And last in the suite is VISX View, which is a family of CGM viewers. The key benefit is that allows you to our family of viewers enable you to deploy your graphics on virtually any platform. You can do that with plugins, the VISX View plugin, which is a plugin that works with all browsers, not just Internet Explorer, but also Chrome and Firefox browsers. And also we have a Linux version that will work with the Firefox browser on Linux. So we have so once you create them, there's your CGMs, you've got a wide variety of ways to deploy it. Next is the VISX View C++. This is an SDK for Windows, Linux, iPad, Android tablets. This allows those that want to build a custom viewer. It's a library, an SDK that allow you to do that. And last on the features is we have the VISX View Office. This is an add-in for Microsoft Office. It works in Microsoft Office or PowerPoint. It allows you to import or insert a CGM vector graphic directly into Word or PowerPoint. Next, I'd like to move on to an actual demo. First, you should be seeing on your screen now the VISX Transform graphical user interface. in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see that there's 4 tabs, one for files, one for settings, process, and logs. First, on files, what you would do there is you'd select the, I'm going to select a folder of files, add it to the, and so then in the center screen then we'll see a queue of files that have been queued up. Next you would go to settings, and in the settings here, this is really the biggest part of working with Transform, is setting up your settings initially, but we have different groups of settings. We have hotspots, PDF, DWG settings, and output settings. First, the hotspot settings. On this panel, you'll be configuring all the parameters that helps it identify and hotspot. Some information about the call-out, the text call-out strings. Then we have some qualifier information. In this case, I'm going to say here that all of our call-outs are 1 to 3 digit numerics. Over on the right, we have the raster specific information. We also need to help the hotspotter image recognition, help it out a little bit. We need to give it a range of a minimum and maximum height for the characters. The OCR setting, we can control the sensitivity depending on the quality of the drawings, and below that is the cropping settings that allows you to either crop at a fixed dimensions or fixed margins, or you can use the auto crop, which will search for. We have a nice feature to allow it to search, like in PDF drawings. Sometimes you have a header and a footer in that, or in a in a PDF manual, and we want to auto crop those, throw those away, so we don't have to go through and edit all those manually. Next, the PDF settings is the PDF. There, since I said we can work with multi-page PDF drawings, we have to tell it things like what page number to start on, what do we want to do, maybe skip every other page, how many pages to do. With the DWG format, typically CAD drawings often have black backgrounds, so we're going to want to put a white background on it. Some geometry simplification options there. Now in our converter, for DWG converter, we like to convert things at the highest geometric level. In other words, to make it the highest, like arcs as arcs and splines and Beziers as splines, but you may want to, and there may be a need to simplify those for if you're working with other viewers, for instance, that are more limited. So that's what that would do. We can also do things like here, convert them to monochrome. We may want to flip the colors. Over on the right, we've got the scaling factors for the drawing. Most often what's done is we want to scale them all to a certain size. Here I've got it set up to make each CGM 8.5 inches wide, and I'll leave the height at 0, so then it'll make the height of the drawing proportional to the width. And then we have a text scale factor also. Sometimes we like to tweak the text size just a little bit. Since they're coming from CAD drawings, sometimes they tend to be stick fonts and things like this that we need to increase them a little bit, so we can do that too. And then at the bottom we have the layer information. If, for instance, if they're multi-language, we would list the multi-language layers here. Here's where the mechanism for throwing away title blocks, and on the CAD drawing or the extraneous information, we can list the layers that we want to exclude from the drawings. Now this may require some working with your CAD department, some discovery to find out what those exact layer names are, but that's a fairly trivial thing for your CAD department to do, and they tend to be all the same for volumes once they've been set up. Next is the process tab, and this is where you'll actually see your files being processed. I've got them queued up, got a list that are queued up there, so I'm going to go ahead and run them. We'll see the green bar by each to the right. Once each file has been processed, once they're all done, we can then go to the log. We'll see the list of the logs from the files have been processed. If we want to see what actually happened, we can click on the complete, see the contents, the actual details of it. That one didn't have much, but some of them will have more. Like this one has more detail. So so there you can actually watch, look at the detail of what happened. We have a show only errors, so we click on that and it'll only show if there was errors. So in this case there was no errors, so it's totally blank. So that's the setup and the running of it. One thing I did want to point out too is we do have the ability to save the settings. So once you set up a group of settings, we can save and reload those. This is very useful. So if you have a project and they all have the same settings, you don't have to go through entering all these settings again. You can just load your settings. So that is VISX Transform, setting up and running VISX Transform. Now once you've got these files set up, then you'll want to be able to maintain them. What we'll do is we're going to go next to the VISX XEdit. You should see the VISX XEdit screen. The way it's organized is like a typical editor. You have formatting things at the top, like rotating and working with layers, setting up your grids, all your various options, a formatting toolbar over on the right, something with running the hotspotter option. Over on the left, we have a toolbar, a drawing toolbar. Next is the tree view, which it's blank now because I don't have a CDM file open, but when we do, we'll see it populate with all the hotspots and metadata. And in the center, of course, the graphic view. And over on the right is all the formatting pane, or the formatting window for working with the attributes of all your objects. So what I'm going to do next is we processed a group of files. Let's go look at those files that we created. I'm going to go here to the output directory from the VISX Transform, and I'm going to go through and multi-select all the files that we created with VISX Transform and open them here. Okay, so we see now at the top we have the tabs with each of the files that we created. If I click on the Show Hotspots, we can see now that this CAD drawing has hotspots. Here's one. Here's a raster image drawing. This is all entirely a raster image, but you can see how the hotspotter automatically found and identified all the callouts. This was an Illustrator drawing from Adobe Illustrator, and this was one from a PDF drawing. While I've got this one up here, I'm going to show you that you can actually edit the data in there. For instance, there's a text string that's not fitting right in the box, so I'm just going to touch it up a bit here. So so that's the VISX XEdit. We're looking at lots of files. We can flip back and forth between them. Look at the hotspots. See the metadata that's inside there, all the hotspots that are generated. Actually, you can actually modify that in the tree view now. If you have the attributes that show in there can actually be edited by clicking on them and changing them. Next, let me show you some of the unique features that we have in here. Since it's the focus of this product is more on working with existing data and hotspotted data, we have the ability to audit. I'm going to edit hotspots. I'm going to show you how you can edit a hotspot. We go into the hotspot select mode, click on a hotspot, and we see the metadata there now associated with that. Its ID, its name. One of the things I'm just going to put on there is show you how you can actually modify the metadata. I'm going to put a screen tip on there. And click, and it should, that screen tip that I added will show over here. There it is. Okay. So in this way you can actually go through and this is how you would edit hotspots once you've got the files hotspotted, or working with existing drawings that came from other CGM editors. We can also go and edit. Another powerful feature I'd like to show you is the ability to add callouts to existing drawings. I'm going to go take a drawing that was created with another illustration tool. I'm going to open it up. As you can see, it's just a raw graphic. It doesn't have any callouts on it. What I'm going to show you how is we can do is we can I'm going to set up our auto callout tool. I'm going to go say I'm going to start in callout 1, and I'm also going to want to make sure I've got the auto numbering enabled and also the auto hotspotter enabled too. So we go in and select the callout tool. So now we're going to start adding callouts. So you can see how quickly you can add callouts with this. Once they're in there, again, you could go and, for instance, edit the metadata. I'm going to go in here and just show you how we can put some screen tips on those. Okay, so then we've got, and so we'll see on the left here in our metadata view, tree view, we saw that those screen tips that I just typed in associated with those hotspots are now showing there. So now that we've got these drawings, there's a need to deploy. I'd like to show you the VISX View plugin. One of the features we got in the editor Visek XEdit is ability to view a file in the browser. So what I'm going to do, the file I'm looking at, I'm going to click up here and say view the file in the browser. It's going to need to save it before I can do that. And now what you are looking at on the screen is the VISX View plugin. This is the VISX View plugin in Internet Explorer. So if I click on it, we can see the hotspots that were added. If I mouse over the callouts, I can see the screen tips that were added. This is the VISX View in Internet Explorer again. It's an interactive viewer, so you can zoom and pan, of course, like any good viewer should. So that's the VISX View plugin for Internet Explorer. And again, this plugin could work in Chrome or Firefox, but right now I'm just showing you the Internet Explorer plugin. So that concludes the presentation part of my webinar. I've showed you how to operate the production graphic suite, its features and benefits. Thank you very much for attending. Further questions, should you have any about this presentation, could be you email Bill Vance at cgemlarsen.com or visit our website at cgemlarsen.com. Again, thank you very much for attending, and we hope to hear from you. Thank you.